I said, God, give me a warning. Please take me for the morning, so I leave more disappointments than
I got everything. I got a wine. I got a wine one. I
Don't
got
take me
the
too far, man. I
cocktails.
got to get the
All right.
introduction
All
cleared
right,
up.
all right, guys, we're up. Welcome to First and 15, the only podcast that's trying to get you paid. I'm here with two-time FFPC champ AB. Alongside him is my guy Dio the Machine. Speaking of the Machine, was on FFPC's podcast. Yours truly, Dio, was there as the number one team in the
Number
Fantasy Pros Championship.
Yeah.
I know it's early, and I know how you guys feel about
Yeah.
Celebrating
No
your
big deal.
successes. It's no
Yeah.
big deal at this point, but that has to feel good.
I didn't
to,
even know I
like,
was in first place, by the way.
really, like, but they reached out and was like,
Yeah,
"Hey, like,
so
you
they
in first
reached
place?"
out. It was a question. They said like, "Hey, you picked this guy on your legally or tournament leading team." I was like, "Tournament leading team."
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh, I'm in first place." So I'm
That's
kind of personally, I would have preferred I got that email like in week 10.
right.
You know,
Right.
But
Yeah,
you
but
know how
hey,
that
you
go.
know, if you could pick to be, anywhere among the leaderboard or on the leaderboard,
Right.
you would always pick one. So
And that's a lot of pressure too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now every time I look at that one team, it's like,
yeah,
hey.
damn, what could have been?
no, like you got a lot, like
you pay
got a lot
close
of pressure.
attention to
I know
team.
that one team, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy because I actually have a few teams that are better than the team, but we'll see how it plays out.
All right, guys, let's talk fantasy for a bit. I want to talk about Davante Adams. Let's go through a little bit of news because that's actually the big news of the week. He didn't play last week, sat down with, quote unquote, an injury. It seems like he is having a disconnect with the team, and there's some rumblings out there that he might have played his last game as a Las Vegas Raider. How do you guys see not only the Raiders without Davante, and does that boost up someone like Myers? Are you guys starting any Raiders with Davante Adams out? And let's sort of speculate a little bit. I know that you guys don't like speculating on where a player might go because we had this conversation a couple of years back when we thought that he was going to be traded. But what do you guys think about that news about Davante Adams may not playing with the Raiders again?
He was traded, by the way. Go ahead.
Was that before? Yeah.
But go ahead, Abby.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm upset. I'm upset with myself. Like personally, I'm upset with myself.
Why?
Because we talked about this like way early in the offseason. The idea of him being traded. And I think the premise of that show topic was like, who are you fading or who are your fades? And I think we took it into more of a strategy, and it went down an avenue of be very cautious with old vets that are potentially on bad teams because they could potentially sit out the year, or if they just get barely nicked up,
Like
a
Keenan Allen
la
last year.
Keenan Allen. If they want to play, and if they're fighting for a playoff or spot or on a competitive team, those guys will play through it.
Mhm.
But if a team is quote unquote tanking,
Yeah.
the players are going to want to sit out. The team is going to want them to sit out, and so it just becomes a very dangerous game where you have this guy who can just who gets you to the finals but can't win you the finals because he's not active. So it really had me through a good majority of the offseason just kind of off of Davante Adams.
Mhm.
But the reason that I'm mad at myself is because we also talked about, because there was rumors in the offseason too about the trade.
Yeah.
We talked about there was actually a potential likelihood or a higher potential likelihood of him actually being traded. Like it wasn't just one of these like, oh, we hope he gets traded or what if. It was like this actually feels like something that could happen because there were a lot of, obviously he had the wide receiver show where he was disgruntled and he was upset. So, and you just, he was obviously.
What was he disgruntled? I didn't watch it. What was he disgruntled?
It was just, you could just basically see him on the sideline.
He just didn't look happy to be there.
Didn't look happy. He was like screaming and cursing. I mean, he was like somebody. He was like 10 yards wide open, and I think it was Jimmy Garoppolo at the time. Like,
okay.
Yeah, like while they were doing. But I mean, there was a lot of rumblings last year. But I guess what I'm getting back to is that we talked about the idea of him getting traded, and we specifically mentioned Jacoby Myers is a great pick, not for potentially just to kind of have on your bench. And, you never know what's going to happen. But like, if it's late in the year and they're not a playoff team, you could easily see Davante Adams, hamstring, my ankle doesn't feel right, sitting out, and he takes the lead. Or if he gets traded, Jacoby becomes a significant, potential like even wide receiver too
Yeah.
in that offense. And I'm mad at myself because I'm not overweight on
Yeah.
Jacoby
Well-
Myers. And I'm also mad at myself because I didn't even consider the other wide receivers in that
Okay.
area, nor did I even like put 2 and 2 together to say, you know what, let me make sure I have some Brock Bowers or a good amount of share of Brock Bowers. So
Mhm.
to me, like
Just
this
drop
was
the ball, everything Raiders.
I was hashtag not
Yeah,
ready.
yeah.
I was not staying ready. So
Yeah.
I'm using really this as a learning point, not necessarily saying that, okay, if I think a guy gets traded, I need to like go and grab all his teammates, but saying that if I'm going down like this path of a storyline, I need to like actually like implement and make it actionable,
Yeah.
because we talked about a lot that like, I think the big theme of this season, I think it started last season too, is like, you're not drafting a starting 5 and a bench. You're drafting a team of starters, and then you on a weekly basis are deciding which of those guys are in your lineup.
Mhm.
That is
Make it a DFS game.
Yeah, it is season
Like you
long.
create your DFS pool. of
DFS,
players. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
I
you
got
have a player of pools. You are not drafting starters. Not in a, really not on in for me, really most redraft leagues these days. You are drafting a pool of players, and it is up to you to put those players in the right position to succeed.
I got you.
So
So for me, so I mean, there's been rumblings about this. So I guess I'll start on the back end. I picked up a lot of Trey Tucker last week.
Yep.
Like I picked up a lot
Very
in
nice.
a lot of my leagues. Not just because of the Devontae Adams injury, but going into the season or off season, there's a lot of buzz that Trey Tucker had. I think
Yep.
I saw an article once where they said Trey Tucker was a standout of camp.
Yeah.
And he was already he started off the season as wide receiver 3, right? So he was already kind of playing. He's a one play away guy or one
Yep.
injury away guy in that aspect, right? And then on top of that, so it's kind of a little different discussion, but on a lot of my best ball teams, especially my super flex best ball teams, I was drafting when it came to my last quarterback to put on my team. And if I was looking at the Raiders options, I was going with Aiden O'Connell a lot, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the simple sole reason I was so confident in Aiden O'Connell being the quarterback for the Raiders was last year I recall Devontae Adams like kind of backing
Yep.
O'Connell,
Yep.
like saying, I want him to be the quarterback. Like if it's not him, I'm not going to be happy. Like I'm
Yeah.
ready to go. So in my mind, I was thinking, okay, if the Raiders hear that and like if the quarterback competition is even and you have your star receiver, wouldn't you pick the quarterback
would
that
give
your star
him-
receiver
yeah.
like likes, right?
Yeah.
And they did it. That's why it shocked me, honestly. Like, honestly, at that point is when I started looking at maybe Devontae Adams might not last on this team.
Yeah.
Because it was almost like a disc. Because I never heard him say anything good about Minshew.
Yeah.
You know,
And he was already hot that they traded away Carr.
Derek Carr was
Yeah.
part of the reason they even went to the Raiders in
Yeah,
the first place.
yeah.
They were college teammates.
Yep.
So interesting situation, but yeah, that's why I was taking a lot of Trey Tucker. And Bowers, I kind of missed the boat on Bowers. So for some reason, I don't know if I thought maybe Michael Mayer was gonna get a little bit more burn,
Yeah.
or maybe I thought it was gonna be a rookie curve. Maybe I theyought the team was just gonna be bad, which it is. It's not great now,
Yeah.
but I totally missed the boat on Bowers.
Yeah, it's
Drafting Brock Bowers sort of felt like drafting Kincaid a little bit, where like Knox is still there, and sort of that discussion that we
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Michael Myers is a highly touted.
I mean, he's a second round pick. He was the best tight end in the draft.
I just feel like
Yeah.
feel like I wasn't getting a discount, and I let my ego, if you want to call it that. Now I was like, nah, he's gonna fall, and I'm gonna get him then.
Yeah.
He never fell.
Yeah.
He never fell. He
Yeah.
never fell. He never fell. And so, like, credit to the fantasy community. Like, if that was his ADP, like, I mean, the market was right on that.
Yeah.
At least thus far, we were, first quarter. But even if he like kind of struggles or is up and down or suffers an injury or whatever, I will say like 4 weeks in, like, to me, that's a lock, seal, done. Like if you drafted him at his ADP, to me, I'm gonna say, from a strategy
Well, it's
standpoint,
still to
that
be
was a win.
said, man, because
Yeah,
Minshew, I don't think he has a secure like lock on that job. And if they switch out O'Connell, we don't know what O'Connell's gonna do. Like,
Yep.
and by the way, I'm not a big Jacoby Myers guy. I mean, I like him,
Yeah.
but I don't think he has a high ceiling,
yeah,
which is why I don't care about missing out on him. The ancillary piece like a Tucker,
Yeah.
even other guys, they might have a high ceiling. Like
yeah.
if you told me Tucker has a Antonio Brown type career arc,
Yeah.
I could believe that.
Yeah.
I don't see Jacoby Myers being much more than what he is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I think and a lot of it's too going to depend on like who's at the quarterback position, because I feel like I think Aiden to me seems like he has a better arm. I feel like Minshew can be decent in garbage time, but I think he's really going to be attacking those short intermediate routes.
Right, which is the Bowers
Yeah.
spot, the Madison spot.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so let's stay on the AFC West. I want to go through all 32 teams, and since we started off with the Raiders, let's go ahead and
We'll be here all night.
right. Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, Rashee Rice going down is a big loss
That one hurt.
to that team. Big loss to our
Yeah,
fantasy teams
RIP.
as well. We actually have him on our
R.I.P., bro. He
dynasty.
was alive.
He didn't die.
Okay,
I actually heard he might come back
rest
this
up
season.
in peace.
I heard it might not be season ending, so that's a glimmer of hope.
Who do you guys think is going to fill that void, though? Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is still going to be Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
They're still going to be a pretty decent offense. Who do you think is going to fill that void? Juju is obviously there. Xavier Worthy is there. Justin Watson.
Yeah.
Sky Moore.
So-
I mean, like, who's going to fill that void?
You know,
Well,
the
I think
answer.
I think
Everybody knows the
Kelsey.
answer.
Yeah, I
It's
think
Kelsey,
I
yeah.
think Kelsey's going to take quite a bit of that.
Rice took Kelsey's role. If you really looking at it,
I know. Now he's
Rice
taking it
took the
back.
Kelsey role, so now he's taking it back.
Yeah, which is good for me because I got quite a bit of Kelsey. But I do think some of these other guys may be in play. I don't like starting guys like this where I'm not very comfortable. Maybe one guy, really, takes the lead. I have no clue.
If you had to
I
take a
think-
shot, right? Like, okay, so now
If
take it from a fantasy player perspective. You're trying to add somebody to your roster.
So
Who
if
you
I
adding?
so basically the way that I would prioritize is obviously Xavier Worthy's on is on pretty much every roster.
Mhm.
I would look at putting in dollar bids for Juju.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably be number one. I know it sounds gross, but
Yeah.
that would be it. And probably $3 bid.
Mhm.
And then I'm just sort of kind of going, and then I go Watson. Then I would add in maybe sprinkling some Sky Moore here or there. Then I just pay attention to who they call up. There was what's the rookie guy who was getting a little bit of hype. What's his name?
Nico Ring. No. I'm thinking
Yeah,
about somebody else.
it's something like that.
Yeah. It might be Nico Ringo, actually. It might be his name.
Sounds
But
right. That
I,
sounds
honestly, man,
right.
even as you list
he
them
may
out-
not, he may not even be on the roster.
what
But
about Justin Ross?
I was gonna get the bag. Take my shot. All this is circling back.
Yeah. Full circle.
The full circle.
We planted to see 2 years ago,
Put it out.
and it's paying off right now.
Yeah. But everyone's, I think everyone's kind of looking at it as, okay, who's going to take the Rice role? Well, remember, this is Andy Reid. He will switch up the offense.
Mhm.
So I think Andy Reid will figure out, okay, what works best with this offense. So I don't think it's going to be the same offense you saw the first 3 to 4 weeks. And it really wasn't like that offense you saw the first 3 to 4 weeks was this amazing offense.
Yeah.
So I think a lot could change. I think there's going to be a lot of moving parts. I think even in the run game, I think they may even if it's not very effective, lean a bit on that. They are just very, very fortunate. They have a very, very good defense. They have a quarterback who, if they can keep it to a one possession game, he's that quarterback you want in that one possession game.
I got you.
Because they're 4-0 right now. So I will be just taking stabs at a lot of guys, but I will not be like overbidding. Just like I didn't overbid for the running backs. I ended up with I got quite a bit of Kareem Hunt just because I just put in like some low bad bids for that. I was like, all right, we'll see. Roll the dice. So I'll do the same thing with the receiving position.
I don't really like the
Any of
Chiefs.
them?
I think the Chiefs as a whole offense is going to take a step back now.
Yeah.
I think it's just too much to overcome.
Yeah.
You're
Mhm.
losing too many pieces, too many main pieces
Mhm.
now. You lost your 2 top wide receivers, in my opinion,
Yeah.
in Rice and Hollywood.
Yeah.
The running back Pacheco you lost.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so much Patrick Mahomes can do. I mean, he's a magic man, but you still have to have talent out there. Like, I mean,
They need to go get somebody.
If they get somebody, that
Yeah.
changes, the notion of things.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of rumors. I saw something where they might consider trading for Tyreek Hill, which would be
Yeah.
crazy. But the way it's now, like, I don't want. If you told me Juju was the wide receiver one for
Yeah.
the Chiefs, I'd still be like, you can have him.
Yeah, we've been there.
Like,
though.
I'm good.
We've been there. And honestly, if you're asking yourself, like, trying to figure out what to do, just look back to like the first 8 weeks of last year.
Yeah.
That's where they were last year.
Yeah,
Where
I didn't
Rice,
want none of those guys.
yeah, where Rice was like still trying to figure things out. They really couldn't use him the way that they wanted to. They had to like kind of slowly bring him around. So just go back and look at what they did last year. That's and there was no one guy that was just like it last year. So
And you remember,
yeah,
I mean, Mahomes didn't have that great of a season last year, as far as for fantasy wise.
and we bearing in the
Yeah.
lead because it's been a couple of years, and that's why I did not have him. Like it's very rare for me just to have 0% of players with as many teams as I draft, especially like high profile players. At the very least, I'm like, all right, let me just get one share just in case.
Yeah,
I have
feel that.
0% Mahomes, and this is obviously before all the injuries.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I felt like the idea,
Shoot, even with all the pieces, even game one, they didn't really go crazy.
exactly, because
Like,
the whole premise was like, okay, now he has all these fast guys, so now it's going to open up the offense. And I'm like, the whole reason the league is playing two high safeties is because of the Chiefs.
yeah,
So now because they got more fast guys, our defense is supposed to say, you know what, y'all have fast guys
Yeah,
now.
never mind.
Let's not leave guys back there.
Our bad. You know what? We'll go back to doing.
No,
what
they're
we're doing.
probably gonna do it more. They're probably gonna force you to throw it underneath more. That's why. That's actually why I was so high on Rice and why I was so high on Kelsey as well, because I felt like that was just gonna open up.
You know who I
everything
take a
below.
stab on, especially tight end premium, and totally left field.
Yeah, I
But
forgot about that.
I would
Yep.
look at Noah Gray maybe.
Yeah, I love that.
I would look at Noah, and
He
remember
looks
they just
good.
gave him an extension.
Yeah, he looks good too.
Yeah, like they gave him an extension in the beginning of the season. Like they didn't really
Yeah.
have to do that. Like
yeah,
that was kind of out the blue. So maybe he's somebody because they might decide to go 2 tight end sets.
yeah.
He's been in their offense for
Yeah.
a few years now, so we'll see.
All right, guys, we got 30 other teams to discuss.
go.
So let's
Two
move
down.
to
30 to
Los
go.
Angeles Chargers. Obviously, Justin Herbert gutted it out this last week. A lot of injuries there. Dobbins is still there.
Mhm.
Somehow we fell into Dobbins.
Yeah.
Do you guys trust QJ?
Man,
And I can't believe I just called him QJ
Yeah,
after I gave you
Chargers are non-applicable next.
No.
I'm
Okay,
joking. You definitely if QJ is on the waiver
Quentin
wire,
Johnson. That's
Yeah.
Johnson and stuff.
Quentin. Okay, if Quentin is on the waiver wire, he needs to be rostered pretty
Yeah,
much in
yeah.
most. In
I don't
most
know,
leagues.
man. I think he's fool's gold.
Maybe, but I ain't say started. I just said roster.
I think he's fool's gold to even be rostered.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
nah,
Steve
I think he should.
I
definitely-
think his touchdowns have been fluky. I don't think
Yeah.
he's been getting peppered with targets.
Yeah,
I think the targets he just happened to get happen to be end zone
Mm-hmm.
targets. I think the main guy that you really need to be looking at, and he might be too, like if you're talking dynasty or even redraft where you can trade, his value might be too high now. But Lad McConkey, I think, is sneaky underrated. Like I saw him catch a pass this past week,
Mhm.
and he was just getting away from people. He didn't look fast, so I was like,
Yeah.
right, he's right. Just catch the dude, right? He's right there. Like get the guy a tackle. Like, he was just running away from everybody. I was like, okay. And they were
Jokic
giving
on the
him,
football field,
Huh?
Like Jokic on the football field.
I guess so.
You know, like
Yeah,
they just move at a different rhythm.
Exactly,
So
but
you're
he
like, I
was-
don't know what to.
He was getting separation. He was
Yeah.
catching the ball, and he was getting away from people.
Yeah.
This is a rookie you're talking about, right? So I think he's a little bit there because Josh Palmer has not really done anything.
No.
I don't even know. DJ Shark is on IR, right? So
Yeah.
now he's out of there. So and then the tight ends, like they haven't done anything. I don't know if
Man.
it's Disley,
Uh,
Hayden Hurst, what's
R.I.P.
going on there.
R.I.P.
So, but we've said this before, and we don't have to spend much time on Chargers at all because there's not much to say. But we've said this before in our group chat. I still wouldn't mind taking stabs at Kamal Vidal now.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
because
we didn't like him before. We still don't really.
no,
like
I still
him.
don't like him.
still don't
I
like
still
him.
don't like him. But Gus is
Gus
now dead.
Yeah, Gus
Yeah.
is dead.
And Dobbins, it's almost like he's on borrowed time.
Yeah.
Like he's doing great, but if Dobbins does go down,
Yeah.
he's the next guy. So
Yeah,
I think it's just
yeah.
a
Presumably
ticket. Like
anyway.
a lot of
All right, guys. So let's talk about the Denver Broncos. We got to talk about my boy, Bo Nix. Listen, having a solid first quarter of the season.
He said solid. Oh man, your priors, man.
Listen, I'm not really starting anybody from the Denver Broncos right now. Cortland Sutton had a decent week. He's having a decent season, but I just can't trust it. Do you guys see anyone on the Denver Broncos that you want to start? Even Javonte Williams, they're starting the running back. Typically, starting the running backs, we want to try to fit in.
I'm not starting him now, but like I said, I think Javonte still needs to be rostered. I am taking stabs and looking at Audric Estime because I don't know. The thing is like this is why we break it up into quarters.
Mhm.
First quarter is first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, second quarter is going to look very, very different than first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, irrespective of injuries or anybody getting traded, teams are just going to look different because teams that struggle, they're going to figure it out. Teams that were doing well are going to regress. You know, teams are going to get tape on certain offenses that were, clicking and on fire. And then teams that like are kind of forward thinking, you know, have it set up to where like they actually shift a bit
Mm-hmm.
so that, you know, other teams aren't able to like catch on. You know, some teams haven't had to show much
Yeah.
or haven't been able to show much. So a lot can happen, but like on a team like that where, you know, it just, you know, everything kind of looks shaky. They beat the Jets,
Mhm.
but the team looks shaky. It looks like a team that's going to be in evaluation mode, maybe third quarter. So teams like that, I definitely want to take stabs at both the running back position and the wide receiver position.
Should we be rostering Jaleel McLaughlin?
No, I've actually cut him a lot of my teams. I
All
want to
right.
talk about Audric Estime, what Abby was saying. I think we need to give a little bit more discussion on that.
Mhm.
So first off, right, the Broncos seem like they've been a team that are just trying pieces at their running back position, and it's only been 4
Mhm.
weeks, right?
Yeah.
They've
Mhm.
tried Javonte, they've tried Jaleel, they've tried Bade or
Yeah.
Bade. I guess it's actually pronounced Bade. Like,
Don't
Oh,
call
really?
him, bro. Don't call him Batty.
yeah, it's actually pronounced Bade. But here's the thing, right? They actually tried Estime too in week 1.
Yeah, he just fumbled.
He fumbled and he got hurt on
Yeah.
IR.
Yeah.
Mm.
But the fact that they gave him an opportunity so early in the season,
They
a
talked about-
rookie. Now look at the other options there. Bade was drafted by the Ravens last year or 2 years ago, undersized.
and he's hurt.
Yeah, I'll get to that. But great SEC running
Yeah.
back. I think he went to Missouri. He's hurt already, like on a stretcher. McLaughlin, small guy. Javonte just looks like he's lost his juice.
Yeah.
So you look at Estime, he's like great season in Notre Dame last year. Big, I
Mhm.
think 220 pounds, 5'11", 5th round pick. But again, already he's getting burned in week 1. And by the way, Javonte, I think, had fumbles issues. Jaleel had fumble
Mhm.
issues. Like all these guys are having fumble issues. Like
Yep.
at some point, it's like, okay, who's the next guy?
Agreed.
Estime really has a chance to steal that job. And he's the prototype running back, in my opinion, for
Mhm.
what I think Sean Payton's trying to do.
Yeah,
So I think he's a sneaky guy you can just add to your roster right now. If you're on Yahoo, put him on your IR slot. He's eligible to come off of IR, not this week, but next week, because he got put on IR after week 1. So
Yeah.
he'll be able to come back after week 5.
Yeah, he definitely won't be
So
ahead.
yeah, so right now is a great, because if he gets out there and he gets burned and he looks good,
Yeah.
his fab budget or fab amount is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So now's the time. But that's all I got to say about the Broncos. By the way, I like the Broncos defense just in general, by the way.
All right. So let's move to NFC West. Let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray's up and down play. Listen, obviously we were taking Marvin Harrison relatively high, sometimes in the early second. How do you guys see the Arizona Cardinals moving forward? Do we think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to start to ascend now that we're starting to get, going in the season? Or do you guys think that this team is what they are?
To me, it's going to be, I think Marvin Harrison will get there. It'll be forced. I'm definitely not as excited, as when I watch Malik Neighbors. And I'm not even talking about the like talent aspect. I mean, I definitely do say Malik Neighbors is a better wide receiver. And forget about the production. Just if you were just to like ignore production, just look at them on game film. Yeah, eye test. He just looks better. Okay, he just looks better. He moves differently. He can play all positions. Like he's quick. He's explosive. It's just a very different type of receiver. Whereas with Marvin Harrison, yeah, he's a good receiver, but to me it still seems like he's trying to figure things out. He's just not moving at as fast a pace as you would typically see. But I still think he gets there because he's clearly that team's number one wide receiver. But to me, like I keep saying this.
Is he clearly?
Yeah. You mean yeah? No, I still think he's there.
I mean, I think he
maybe
is,
not
but
clearly.
it's not clearly. That's
clearly,
the thing.
yeah. Maybe not clearly, because part of that is due to the offense. When you look at the way they use Malik Neighbors, I mean, there was one play against the Cowboys where they lined him up in the backfield and he ran a route out from the backfield. And it wasn't like he was running out, outside the tackles. He like literally ran through the guards or something, like ran through the line and ran around. So the way they move Malik Neighbors, the way they like are so creative about getting the ball in his hands, like that to me is amazing. Whereas with Marvin Harrison, and this kind of goes back to my issue with Kyler, is like Kyler's quick, he's fast, he'll look amazing at times, but he's just not a good quarterback to me. He's not like a really good quarterback to me. He does not read defenses very well. He really has to like scramble and wait till a guy gets open or create plays with his feet, or with the threat of his feet. It's not like he's sitting here like back reading defenses. So I struggle with Kyler. I struggle with this offense in general because I don't think it's like an offense that like you just want to love. They have good players, and Kyler definitely makes them productive. So from a fantasy standpoint, they will be good. But I think Kyler will always cap the players on his fantasy team. I think.
See, so first of all, it's like when we're comparing the two players, Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison, as far as usage, it's like the Giants are like, we just need to get Malik Neighbors the ball. However way, just here, take the ball. Whatever you got to do.
You want to hike it?
Yeah. While Harrison is like, run a route, get open, and if you're open, we'll throw you the ball.
Yeah.
And it's like two different philosophies. But personally, I don't like what I'm seeing out of Marvin Harrison. And maybe we can go back to week 1 where they would clock him saying how slow he looked. He looks slow to me. Yeah. And the crazy thing, he still looks slow to me. Like he doesn't look like he's like getting away. You remember like last year when Calvin really went to the Jaguars and they were showing those highlights during camp and he was just getting off the line. He was just like going crazy. Like I'm not seeing anything like that from Marvin Harrison. And then you made that comment, he's clearly the number one. Like they're not treating him like a clearly number one. They giving him targets here and there, but it's like they're throwing it to everybody. Michael Wilson has like 1 or 2 touchdowns already and getting targets. Dortch is getting targets. McBride was getting targets. Like they're trying to give it to everybody instead of literally saying you're our main guy. We drafted you top 5, right?
Yeah.
We drafted you top 5.
Yeah.
And we're gonna utilize you as much as possible. Like force feed him the ball. They're not doing that. And even him, he's not playing bully ball.
Yeah.
Like he's not like
he doesn't play big.
Yeah, he's not playing big. So it's like what is his true skill set? And I didn't watch a lot of Ohio State.
Yeah.
So I didn't fall in love with him from college tape.
Yeah.
And unfortunately he didn't test at all through the combine. So I just saw highlights here and there.
Maybe
highlights are always gonna
why.
make you
Maybe that's why.
Now I will say this. I will give him this. He is a rookie. Okay. And even if he is one of the rookies where it takes a little bit of, longer time for him to kind of get acclimated, get up to NFL game speed, you still have like had some pretty fruitful 3 weeks of play thus far.
Yeah.
So if he does get there, at least you got to like bank these.
But the problem with Marvin Harrison, the way he's been getting there, he's had to score touchdowns. While Neighbors, this last game against the Cowboys, he didn't score a touchdown and he still gave you 20 plus.
But we knew that though. We knew that Neighbors TD, the likelihood of him hitting or scoring a lot of TDs was going to be.
No, I guess what I'm saying is when you thinking about the potential of Harrison, it's like you have to feel like I need to get a touchdown for it to pay off. While Neighbors, you can put him in your lineup, not worry about him not scoring a touchdown, and still feel like you can have a good week.
Yep.
Neighbors in your lineup, and that's a big bit because then when you do get the touchdown with Neighbors, it even propels you further,
Agreed.
Just to make sure that the record is clear, though, I mean, after that first week where they played Buffalo, obviously he gave us 1.4 points in that first week, but 29 points week 2.
That was a 2-touchdown game, right?
Right. 17.4 points in week 3, and then 15 points last week. I mean, he still scored a touchdown in each game. Targets are still up. I mean, 8 targets week 2. 11 targets week 3, 6 targets week 4. I mean, he's still a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's still moving in the right direction.
I mean, it's cool. You're still going to play him and you still hope for the best, but he's the top 5 pick.
It's just the eye test. It's just the eye test.
I mean, if you tell me he's a first round pick, okay, cool.
Hey, but these things are important because we fast forward next year. Oh, you're going to hear it. Marvin Harrison's been dominating camp. He looks like he's really taking the lead this year.
Show me.
Remember what you saw. Don't ignore it.
Yeah. Roll the tape.
Roll the tape.
Roll the tape. Yeah.
Before you just say, what, potential. Let's get him in the first round.
I ain't gonna lie. If I hear that, though, I'll probably get. Oh, yeah.
First round pick.
Let's talk about the Los Angeles Rams. Listen, they've been decimated by injury, but still, Kyren is still chugging along, man.
Man, I don't know
Never seen
how.
any?
I have no idea. I watched every single Rams game. I
Hey,
don't
man,
know how
tried
he's
to
doing
tell
it.
you, man. He has some kind of innate ability for the running back
How
position.
does he do it?
Hey.
What do you guys think about this Rams offense? Can they keep it up? Can Kyron continue to produce this way?
Man, this Rams offense is trash
Yeah.
outside of Kyron Williams.
Yeah.
But, you get Puka back, you get Cup back, and then they right
They'll
back
be
to where they
back.
start.
Yeah, they'll be
But we
back to
talked
it.
about it earlier before the season, too. We talked about this team being tissue paper. We talked about them being like very top heavy
It's
and being
fragile.
very fragile and brittle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I kind of went the route and actually put it into action of, okay, let me get the DeMarcus Robinson then, if in case one of them goes down.
Mhm.
Both of them went down, and DeMarcus Robinson did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Goes back to your talent argument. Okay, maybe he's not that talented now.
Yeah.
Even though he kind of balled out a little bit last year. But then even Tyler Johnson didn't really do much.
Nope.
Mhm.
Whittington is maybe now.
I've been on the Tutu Atwell train lately.
Yeah. I
It's
loaded up.
been
on Tutu.
okay.
But Tutu was free last, given
Yeah.
all the injuries we had last
that's the
year.
thing. Yeah, he
I had
was
to
free.
put him in a couple of lineups. He was free.
I
He
did
still-
too.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
he came through.
Yeah,
Yeah, he came through. So Tutu until then, until we'll see what happens post bye. But
Man, just Cup, hurry back, man.
Yeah.
Please, like, take us out of our misery. Just get in our lineups and let's go do what we
open
meant
things
to
up
do.
for everybody else.
Yeah. Are we starting to see the emergence of Jackson Smith and Jigba with Seattle?
Oh, sorry. One last thing.
Mhm.
The Rams defense is trash.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
play everybody against
play
the Rams.
everybody
Yeah.
against the Rams defense.
Everybody.
Everybody.
We don't give start-sit answers, but we're
Yeah.
telling you that all season long.
Let's move to the Seahawks. Are we starting to see the emergence of JSN, and is he overtaking Lockett now as receiver 2? And maybe we should be considering him receiver 1 moving forward.
What?
No.
What? Stop.
What?
You didn't
Yeah,
see
you're
how many
tripping.
targets he got this past season? I
No,
mean,
no.
it seemed like they're making a
He's
concerted
getting
effort.
but if you watch the game, he's not like first read targets.
At all.
It's like DK. Okay.
We
There's
need to get
JSN.
somebody.
There's
Yeah.
JSN like
the ball
5
out real
yards out.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
he's right.
JSN,
Yeah, no.
which is good for PPR. And occasionally though, he'll run some a little bit deeper
But
routes.
the thing is, Tyler Lockett was doing it too. Tyler's got double-digit points yesterday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think DK is one clearly,
Yeah,
and
me too.
then
Mhm.
the other guys are rosterable, and then you just kind of play them based off a matchup, or if you got a bye week. And
think
and
if
hope they hit.
DK scored that touchdown where he was tackled at the one
Yeah,
where he got flipped, he would have had like 20 plus easy,
Yeah.
cleared that.
yeah.
And then of course take away that fumble. So DK is still the main guy there. And
DK beats
if you
him.
were a DK owner, I would be happy. If you were a Kenneth Walker owner,
Mhm.
I would be
I
running
was-
to the bank right now, taking out a loan.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry, I'm gonna pay this back at the end of the football season. We good. Because my God, like, bro, I got a few, but I don't got enough.
Yeah, and I'm so mad that it took me so long because you could kind of hear it, and then that's why at the end I was like, got to get Kenneth Walker,
Oh,
got to
my
get Kenneth Walker,
gosh.
and I was just getting into drafts to purposefully
Get
draft
Kenneth Walker.
get Kenneth Walker. So
Yeah.
definitely glad I did that.
All right, so let's continue to talk about the NFC West. The last team, San Francisco 49ers. They dealt with some injuries as well. Obviously, CMC. We got some news from him about the Achilles tendonitis, in
Bilateral.
both legs.
Both legs.
What do you guys think about this 49ers offense? Purdy has kind of struggled without CMC, sort of an average quarterback at best. Now, granted, he did miss Debo as well. I think Ayuk should be the story of the 49ers and his
Mhm.
lack of production. But what do you guys think about the 49ers and their fantasy outlook?
Yeah, to me, it seems like a team that'll figure it out. There's a lot of
Mhm.
continuity there, but there are guys that were missing training camp. You've had guys that are hurt. Obviously, missing CMC is a major part because if you're a defense, we got to keep eyes and tabs on that guy. Regardless of how good Jordan Mason looks right now, he is not the threat in the passing game as CMC.
Yeah.
So when you have to account for that opens up play action pass and allows these guys to, instead of having this like half-yard separation or this 1 yard separation where both the wide receivers have to be a little bit more better in
Mhm.
terms of securing the catch and running after the catch, but Purdy also has to be a little bit more better in terms of ball placement.
Mhm.
And we all know that he has thrived on efficiency and he has thrived on scheme, and I think again a lot of that has been due to CMC. All these guys are still startable. To me, they're all pretty much in your starting lineup. I don't have a lot of Ayuk, so it's hard for me to tell people to start him or stick with him. I don't know how I would feel about that. But I think for the most part, you ride with these guys. You always notice some weeks some guys are gonna give you 20 plus, and then some weeks, that guy's going to get a little bit left out. What hurts us now, though, is this kind of, I don't know if it's an emergence, but this little, 2-week spike of Juwan Jennings or 1-week spike of Juwan Jennings. He had a big play this last game too.
Yeah.
And looked good during it.
Yeah. Let's move on to the AFC South.
You can talk about.
No, I mean, actually, I was going to mention Juwan Jennings. I think that's the biggest story out of all of it, because now you have to make a decision. Like, if you're a Juwan Jennings owner, you have to make a decision. Are you going to keep playing him because now everybody's healthy, right? Because, I mean, he's obviously going to steal snaps, but is he going to steal enough snaps for him to have a safe floor?
Yeah.
And then if you're not a Juwan Jennings owner, do you feel comfortable? Like you just mentioned, Ayuk. Is he still an every week starter for you? Or now do you play the start-sit game, looking matchups? So Juwan Jennings is interesting. He's been there for a long time. The coach mentioned recently that he's the best separator on the team, which is kind of interesting thing to hear for somebody that's not a starter. And somebody really didn't even give a lot of snaps to. They did give him an extension this summer, where they re-signed him, which was weird because they also then drafted Ricky Pearsall in the first round. And also drafted Cowan in the fourth. So I don't know. I'll never forget several years ago. I don't remember the name. I don't remember the year, but I remember the circumstance. There was a receiver for the Cowboys that went crazy like in week 1 or week 2. And everybody rushed to, pay Fab to get him on their team. And then the rest of the season, he just didn't do anything. And that's always like a cautionary case for me, where it's like, is this a one-off where it's like he has this like almost like Noah Brown last year, when Noah Brown got 100 yards 2 weeks in a row, and then he didn't really do anything anymore. So I don't know. I like his game, but I kind of feel like if the other people are there, and we didn't even mention Kittle. Like Kittle is still, I was banging the drum on Kittle all summer during draft season. I feel like he was going too low. I still feel that way. Now I think he's the top 5, consensus pick. But if all those guys are there, and then when you eventually do get C-Mac, because I do think C-Mac is going to come back. I kind of hope he comes back. I guess more than think. But if he does come back, then that's even going to make Jennings even less. And then what are you going to do with Jennings, right? Then it's just going to be okay. Sorry, real quick. I want to mention this because I think about this all the time, and I don't know how to articulate it. But it's weird to me because in fantasy, when a player in the early part of the season goes off, in this case, you're talking about like an Isaiah Likely type, right? But then doesn't do anything. It's difficult to drop that guy. Because you saw him just go crazy. And then he's just on your roster. It's like an anchor. See? But then flip it, right? So then he don't do nothing the first 3 weeks, and then he goes off week 4. Now you're like, okay, cool. I can maybe play that. It's like, how do you play that?
This is what I was getting at, and I didn't articulate it very well in the group chat. So I'm gonna try to explain this now.
Okay.
Bear with me, because this video may not come out. So the way that I'm sort of kind of looking at some of these guys, especially guys like the Likely, ignore FFPC where you get a first look and you can retroactively place these guys back in your lineup. So imagine you just in your regular home league and you drafted Likely, stashed them on the bench, and then you didn't get that first week, right? You didn't get that first week.
You played him the second week though.
But you played him the second week. So if you just go binary with 1 point negative points based on start sit, at the end of the year, if you look at his numbers and he finishes the tight end, let's just say 11 overall points, but you only had like a 30% success rate in terms of starting him,
you're getting negative points.
You got negative points. So in essence, that was actually worse than drafting the tight end 18 that you probably never started.
Right.
Because you got negative points for not starting him the first week, where
then you got negative points for the week where you did start him.
And this is so much more important in these large tournament fields, because if you get a player and you don't start him when he goes off, but then other people start him when they go off, they get the points. So you got -1, they got +1. So you already losing against every other team that draft, because you're not the only team that drafted this one guy. Then you say, you know what? Okay, now I believe in this guy. I'm a play him, and he gives you a dud. Now you're at -2. If the other guys start him again, they're back at 0.
They're at 0. But if they didn't start him, they're +2.
Yeah.
So if you can hit that every single point in your roster, and honestly,
that's hard to do though.
It's hard to do, but I do that in the last 3 weeks of the season, where I really look and I'm like, all right, I don't care what your name is. I'm trying to get +3. I'm trying to get +1 week 15. I'm trying to get +2 week 16. I'm trying to get +3
So the goal
week
is to get
17.
+3 for the sprint.
+3 for
Get
everyone.
+3 for the sprint. That's the
Because
motto.
if I can miss out on the negative week and then get +1,
Because somebody
way
that
ahead
you're
of the field.
competing against is taking that negative
Exactly.
week too.
Yeah.
So it's like a double win.
Yeah,
It's like a division win in football. Like
Yeah,
you get in the standings and you take somebody down.
I don't
in the
know how to
standings.
term that. I always go back
Somebody
to
smart
saying-
that listens figure all of that out.
I always go back to like the confident start, like because we always talk about he averaged this points per game or he finished as a QB7. But how many times did you actually start him when he scored points, and how many times did you start him when he put up negative points? Because a lot of these guys that come out of nowhere, you don't get those points that they scored, and then you put them in your lineups, and then you get a negative. You don't want that negative. You got to really try to avoid that negative.
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you're saying. I mean, but that's hard to do, though.
It's hard, but hey, the game is hard right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's smart. Everybody has all information. That's the aspect of the game. That's what I was kind of talking about with the start. That's the aspect of the game I'm trying to get better at, and I'm pulling and grasping at every little thing I can to try and figure that out.
Justin Fields may be that this coming up week. That watch.
I played him last week.
I played him too.
Yeah.
I think I might have played him against the team that Dio
good
out a victory.
Good examples of that, because this is why I try to remove all emotions, and that's why I always try to think about like games and quarters, or like they always said week to week game. Christian Kirk was a good example of that. I started in week 1 in quite a few places. He gave me a dud. I put him on the bench week 2. Week 3, I knew he had a good schematic matchup. I said, you know what? I'm not going to miss out on these points. I'm negative. I'm even right now. I played him week 1, -1. I sat him week 0 when other people probably maybe started him. I'm even. Week 3, I want to be up +1 again. I doubled down week 4. Now I feel like I'm up +2. And there's a lot of guys like that who are kind of in that mid range right there. Really's been on my bench until I feel like he's in another good schematic matchup. I've actually been like pretty good with Really. I caught that spike week, and I really have been sitting him ever since. I'm just, it is like a very risky and difficult thing to do, but it is what it is.
Let's move to the AFC South. Obviously, our beloved Houston Texans has been kind of a roller coaster, last minute win. This past week, lost to Minnesota the week before, looked good the week before that. Let's talk about the Texans for a bit. Dio, can we revisit that ranking of the Texas receiver room? Would you still see it the same, or how would you rate those receivers?
I definitely accept what I'm seeing. Nico looks like a star. Nico looks like the best wide receiver in the NFL. I'm not even kidding. One thing about the Texans is I try to be as unbiased as possible, but there's bias there. Like I'm a fan. I'm a true fan. I look at that team closely. Any other team, like day and night, I'm listening to Texas stuff, all while playing fantasy. So I'm aware of all these other players, but Texas is really the team I know the nooks and crannies of it. And I've seen Nico since he was drafted. So this career arc has just been crazy to watch. But I try not to get too over excited about my team's players. And I've used that to watch Nico, but I keep seeing him, and what I see, man, he's doing things that, man, I don't even know how to say it, but he's doing things that literally like no receiver I've seen in the league does consistently. And he's doing it consistently. I mean, he leads the league in yards. I haven't seen anybody stop him this year. Every time CJ Stroud is trying to scramble and like make a play, he finds Nico and Nico makes the play. Like I'm not seeing drops. I'm not seeing nobody shut him down. I'm not seeing anything. And he's making plays on every level: short, medium, deep. And he's a big guy, so he's breaking tackles. He's catching sideline catches, like post everything. So it's like, how can I keep knocking this guy, right? The one thing I was always thinking was when the other players are there, the pie, he wouldn't get as much of the target share, but he's getting it. Like Diggs is playing. Obviously, Dell didn't play last week, but even when Dell was playing, I think that's the biggest miss I had was the team's not using Dell the way I expect. They're using like a gadget guy instead of a true receiver. And if you're around the Texans fan base, a lot of people in the Texans fan base are upset with that because we all know how talented Dell is. And a lot of us are kind of aggravated with the way Bobby Slogan using, head coach Darling or, potential Darling last coaching cycle. But regardless of all of that, I mean, production is production. Like we were saying in the group chat, results over process. Like
Yeah.
screw the process.
Yeah.
What's happening? What's actually the numbers that are coming out? And the
Yeah.
numbers that are coming out are Nico
Yeah.
every single time. So
Yeah.
to answer your question, I would say, I mean, I have to. I mean, it's apparent. Nico
Yeah.
digs Dell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I can't say anything else at
Yeah.
this point. And things can easily change because one thing, I know the underdog guys were mentioning a lot. Dell is still running the same amount of routes
Yeah.
as all the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's not so much he's not being used; he's just not getting the targets.
Yeah.
So that can easily change. That's just
Yeah.
who the quarterback decides to throw to. But right now, Stroud has a lot of confidence in Nico. So if we were redrafting right now, I honestly would not have a problem with taking Nico, the number 1 receiver. And it's
Oh, wow.
crazy,
Yeah.
but it's happening. Like,
He's number 1 and number 2. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like, yeah.
yeah,
We 4
so,
weeks in. No,
yeah.
I agree. I got nothing else to add.
All right, let's move on to the Indianapolis Colts for a second. This past week, we saw Josh Downs have a monster week, looked really good, got tons of targets. Obviously, Joe Flacco came in and was kind of the reason for that.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson is still their franchise quarterback at this point, we believe. Do you guys
At this point.
right? I'm just saying this point
Yeah.
because I never believed in Anthony Richardson. But let's talk about that receiver room. Are you guys rooting for Joe Flacco? And if Joe Flacco stays there, would you be higher on that receiving core?
yes to both questions for me. I don't even need to elaborate. So.
That's yes. Yeah. Agreed. Concur.
Yeah. Next.
Concur.
All right. Well, then,
Yeah, I mean, I will say, yeah, like Anthony Richardson, obviously, like that's their, at least right now, like you said, the franchise quarterback. So, you just gotta hope that it's hard for me to see, but the NFL, crazy shit happens.
Yeah.
What do y'all think
Things
about
change on a dime. So Josh Downs, I mean, we all were super high on Josh Downs.
Yeah.
Even
an
after this last week's performance, with all the Josh Downs I got, I mean, I gotta go back and look at the matchups. I really haven't looked at this week's matchups, but I don't know that I am like really, strongly considering like, getting him in the lineups, even with bye weeks, if Anthony Richardson's a quarterback.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like it's tough.
I
It's
mean,
tough.
I can't shake the fact that week 1 he threw 9 passes or 9 completions. Like
Yeah.
I can't know
Yeah.
that that's a possibility for my offensive options where they have to fight over 9 targets.
That's
Like,
already
I can't do that.
out in the
I've seen it now. Like now that I
Yeah.
see that's possible, I can't go that
Can't
route
unsee
anymore.
it.
Let me ask you this: how do y'all feel about Trey Sermon?
I've been seeing him really get that much burn.
I mean, right now looks like he's about to start.
He's about
this
to
week.
start. He's going up against Jackson's not that bad of a run defense. That's gonna be a tough one.
I mean, they don't have their best defensive player, Falu Olukasi. I think that's his
Yeah.
name. No, I'm thinking about the Texans player. Y'all know the linebacker for the Jaguar. I think
Yeah.
they put him on IR or something.
Yeah, but even then, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Jags are a pass fun. That's one of those to me. I don't want to call it a trap situation, but that's one of the ones like I'm not gonna be like, oh yes,
Add him in your lineup.
yeah, add him in the
I got
lineup
you.
real quickly. I'm like
got you.
really like kind
gotta
of
look at it closely.
Yeah, treat him like like we've been treating Akers the last few weeks.
Got you.
Yeah.
I only
So
kind of
let-
use him when I need him.
So let's talk about the Jags for a second. Listen, Tank Bigsby is cutting into the timeshare of ETN. How do we think about that backfield, and do we think that Bigsby may win that job?
No, I don't think he's gonna win that job, but it's like a lot of backfields. It's like a lot of backfields in the NFL right now. It's not a job to be won. There's like, they play multiple backs. People, they know it's a long season. They want to
This
keep
felt
those guys
different.
healthy. Well, I think he was hurt actually. I heard he had like a shoulder injury. I mean, who knows? But it sounded like he had a shoulder injury, and that's why he was out. But he did like come back in. He did get quite a few touches. Bigsby looks better.
Mhm.
Like I thought Bigsby was always like looked really good coming out. He was in Georgia, right?
Mhm.
One of the SEC teams. But I always thought like
Auburn.
Auburn. That's what it was.
Auburn.
I always thought his tape looked great. Yeah, he tried to bounce things out a little bit, but I thought his tape looked great. And I actually think he could be used in a passing game too as well. But then I can't unsee and unremember
The
what I
smear
thought last year.
campaign, dog. That's what it was.
But that-
Because
but-
you showed it to me, and I was like, man,
But
Bigsby's trash.
trash. But then we kept hearing it all season that he was
Yeah.
improved, and that's why I was like, "Oh, I need to see this." And then and then it was that one preseason game. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, Bigsby actually looks pretty good."
Well, you're the one that sent me the video where it's like every pass they threw at him was an interception. Like I never believed it. I was like, what?
yeah, and
And
he
then I watched it, I was like, oh my God. Every was like, oh
I think two of them
no.
got returned for touchdown.
I know, yes.
Man, that's
I was
crazy.
like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So,
But
I
the
mean, y'all
coaches
know,
saw it. The coaches saw it. So that's
I
why
was
keep
big
getting
on Tank
opportunities.
because I kept hearing them. They wanted to play him for
Yeah.
whatever reason. I do think ETN is in danger
Yeah.
personally. I mean, obviously it was the Texans for the Jaguars, so we watched it closely. But ETN didn't look hurt to me. There's nothing. There's nothing. He wasn't with
It
trainers.
was one of them like, oh yeah, my shoulder. hurt.
Yeah, he wasn't with
That's why I'm not in the game.
He didn't look like he was flinching like nothing.
Yeah. Like
He looked fine.
Oh,
And then when he got, if he didn't give a game, maybe I would think differently.
Yeah.
But then he came in the game
Yeah.
and he played and he looked.
Yeah.
And I was looking, I was like, he's taking his
With an extra little pep in the step.
Yeah. skipping and everything. So I was like, and then the fact that Bigsby had the long run.
Yeah.
If anything, he's grabbing more of that share,
Yeah.
a lot more of that share than what we
Yeah.
expected when we drafted ETN.
Mhm.
So I'll be a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm confident in starting Bigsby right now.
Right.
I'm not too far off now, especially with bye week. You know, we might be getting to that point
Yeah.
closely, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm confident starting ETN right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a lose situation.
Man, I had one team where I had this, Kenneth Walker playing Monday night, and this team was stacked. So like the decision was Kenneth Walker or ETN, and I went ETN.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. But think about it. I mean, you thinking now after the
He's
three
coming off an
touchdowns,
injury.
he's coming off an injury.
I ain't gonna lie.
He's like,
I'm being honest with y'all. And by the way, I made horrible mistakes in my starts
Yeah.
this week. I had a good week actually
Yeah.
overall. But
Yeah.
I made some horrible mistakes.
Yeah.
But ETN, I sat him in almost all my leagues.
Okay.
Just because
Texans or just
Texans.
Okay,
You
yeah.
know, they
Yeah.
shut down Jonathan Taylor.
yeah.
You know, by the way, the Texas defense is phonies. As a fan, man,
What?
there's some phonies, bro. Like,
Secondary is kind of
that's the thing.
Yeah,
Like,
secondary is
there's
suspect.
nobody playing man to man. It's like we're giving them these 8-yard gaps, like we did
Yeah.
Jefferson last week.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? And like, we don't have
The
we
rookie's
have
doing
these
well, but-
great pass rushing
Yeah.
defensive end, but they're not getting sacks.
Yeah.
They're leading the league in pressure, but they only had like 4 sacks on the season, and we
Yeah.
don't have anything, no other depth. The linebackers are chasing everybody, so we're not. It's a man. Look, because this past week the Houston Texans were like considered like a good option for defense. They gave you 2 points.
Yeah.
Don't fall for that trap no more, people.
Yeah.
I fell for the trap. I've watched my team 4 weeks now. Unless something happens, don't fall for that trap because they are not as dominant defense as I would have hoped. Yeah.
All right, guys, let's talk about the Tennessee Titans. I know at the beginning of the season, we were talking about who was going to be the receiver one there. Was it Ridley? Was it D-Hop? D-Hop came back faster than we thought from that injury.
Yeah.
Or I guess he started playing faster from that injury than we thought.
Yeah.
Didn't look all that great week 1, week 2, really. Bounced back week 3, if my memory serves me correctly. How do you guys see that passing game, especially with Will Levis now banged up?
Yeah, oh man, I hope he stays out. I mean, I don't know. Not that I'm a Mason Rudolph fan, but can it get any worse? Like, definitely, like this was like one offenses where I was like, you know what, severely undervalued. No guys are going high. Like they could surprise because there's a lot of changes. OC change, head coach change. Brought in some new weapons. Revamped the O line. So a lot of things put into play where like you could see the potential that was there, and I was like, let me take this shot. And definitely, I am someone who is very, very much overweight on Ridley because he was going in the 7th and 8th round. At least to this point, like he maybe should have been going later. So I do have quite a bit of Pollard. I've been playing him, but really, he's just on the bench until further notice. The other issue too is like, and this kind of goes back to like not just looking at, schematic matchups. Obviously, nobody really does, talked about the cornerback wide receiver matchups, but just looking at, coverage shells, but specifically looking at like, okay, what is this game's over under? So to me, are they playing a team that can like push them, to score points? And if they're playing a team that's pushing them to score points, then that's when I'll like look to get like a Ridley in my lineup and take that gamble. But if they're not playing a team that they can push them, because they have a good defense too. That's the issue. That's the other issue. They got a good defense. But if they're not playing a team that can push them to score points, then like I'm really just going to be avoiding anybody in this passing game.
Yeah. See, my thing is, so first of all, the wide receiver one, like I don't even know if we know who it is now because last week, not last week, but week 3, the way that ended, you would have maybe said maybe Hopkins is back to taking that role. But I looked at this past week on Monday Night Football. Hopkins not even starting, which is crazy. Like, what's going on? Like, it was really starting, then I think Westbrook or whatever, and then Traylon Burks out there to start the game.
Yeah.
What's going on? And then Hopkins eventually came in. He's like he's rotating in. My biggest issue with the guys is the offense that we promised.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. Or maybe what's really going on is because the offensive coordinator came from the Bengals. He said really was going to be in the Jamar Chase role, and they're going to be in the Bengals offense. Maybe the Bengals offense doesn't work if you don't have Burrow. Maybe that's the problem. You know, I don't know.
Or Chase,
right? But this great offense. I mean, usually when you have a new head coach that's a former offensive coordinator, the offense improves. So, and that's why me personally, I was higher on your Ridleys and Hopkins because again they were being taken late. But for what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing. Honestly, I think their offense looked better last year.
I think a lot of it is Will Levis. Like I've watched him very, very closely this year.
So you believe Rudolph will make it look better?
Terrible. Will Levis is trash.
Do you think Rudolph will will do an Andy Dalton type glow up?
No, not Andy Dalton, because Rudolph is not that type of quarterback.
I mean, I'm saying just allowing the rest of the players on the team to look a lot better.
I think because part of it too comes down to like confidence as a play caller. Will Levis has been a turnover machine, in the worst possible conditions that have legit cost them victories.
So you thought maybe they were reeling them in a little bit.
If you watch the game, the way that they call plays, like I don't know what their offense is because the head coach doesn't want to call their offense. He doesn't want to put the ball in jeopardy. He's calling like these low. You got Tajay Spears out here running Wildcat.
They better start getting ready to tank for Shador or Ewers.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers.
Because Levis is a second round pick. They don't have to commit to him. They can swap him out easily next year.
All right, guys, let's talk about the NFC South now. I want to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, I was high on Bijan, still high on Bijan. But I remember, I don't know who sent it in a group chat, but there's a particular tweet that I want to pull up right quick about both the Falcons and Jets maybe easing off of their RB1s, just looking at how the snap difference between Bijan and Tyler Algier wasn't as wide as we would expect. And then also the same thing with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. How do you guys feel about Bijan, not necessarily being that bell cow to where we thought that he was going to be coming into year two?
Yeah, this is one of those annoying Dale things that like I was like, man, stop saying annoying shit that's like going against my narrative. These guys that I like and so excited to priors. Mixing up my priors. And maybe it was more so when he first like brought up with Breece Hall and Allen. Braylon Allen. You're like, Braylon Allen's good. I'm like, yeah, but Breece is Breece.
Yeah,
Braylon Allen is good. Yeah. He's like, but Breece is Breece. It's like, man, Braylon Allen is good.
Which is confusing about the draft pick. I was like, why are you drafting such a good running back in the fourth round when you have Breece? It was just weird to me.
Yeah, but I guess you see it now because again, like people want you want to have that backup, you want to have that kind of 1-2 punch, I guess. But these were two running backs that we were hoping, with their elite talent, had the true bell cow role and would be, I don't want to say the new CMCs, but would be like the new stud RB1s. And we should not have anointed them or assumed those things to be the case. It's tough. It's early in the season. I think they'll have their games, but like you can't state that their upside is not capped and not reduced from preseason because they're not getting the usage. So even if they ball out and they're super efficient, it's still capped because they're still not getting the volume that we had anticipated them to get.
Well, first of all, don't let me ignore the fact that Bijan did have an injury concern this week going into the game. So that might have something.
And they got a Thursday night game.
Yeah. But here's the biggest thing. The biggest takeaway for me is when there's talent there in the room with your other players, you can't ignore that. And Braylon Allen, we now are seeing a 20-year-old. He is talented. Like he could start for more than half the teams in the league. Tyler Algier, we believe Bijan is better, but Tyler Algier has been a steady Eddie type running back, getting good yardage. He actually had a time period where he was the bell cow for the Falcons before Bijan showed up. That's talent there. So we can have these great players that come in, that we like a lot, and if they got the every down role, they would go crazy. But teams are looking at it like, yeah, I got this Lamborghini, but I also got this Maserati.
Yeah.
So I ain't just gonna just leave one in the garage
Yeah.
because I like the Lamborghini so much. I'm
Yeah.
gonna drive both of them,
Yeah.
and they're being successful with
Yeah.
both. That's the worst thing about it.
Yeah, my
Like,
Maserati is my work car. My Lamborghini I take out on the weekend.
hey, and you're getting to work and you're having fun on the
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing if they're
Yeah.
not the other option is not doing as well, but if you switch, Brees got hurt right now. I guarantee the Jets and like, damn, like we're gonna really struggle in
Yeah.
our running game. They're gonna be like, all right, Braylon,
Yeah,
get in there.
Get in
Same thing with the Falcons.
Yeah.
All right, Bijan,
Yeah.
Algier, go ahead, we good.
Yeah.
You know, it's not gonna be a detriment to their team, and
Yeah.
I think we have to take that into account. Now, obviously, hindsight is 2020. Like Abby said, he didn't know how. You didn't watch much Braylon Allen in college, right?
No.
Like I watched not only him in Wisconsin, I watched his high school tape. Like
Yeah.
he played defense too, so I knew the type of talent he was.
Yeah.
So you know, if there's a situation where we look at the other options there and we really look at a threat there, we just can't ignore it. So that's all it is.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned. All right, guys, let's talk about the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, Bryce Young being demoted to the backup role. Andy
Jekyll and
Dalton
Hyde
came,
team right there.
very Jekyll and Hyde
Yeah.
team. Andy Dalton seemed to give this team a little bit of juice, especially in their passing game. We saw Deontay Johnson sort of emerge as the receiver that we knew that he could be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is he still? I mean, do you guys trust it though with Andy Dalton as
So-
their quarterback?
This happens every year, multiple times a year.
Mhm.
If you're think about if you yourself play for the Carolina Panthers,
Mhm.
and every practice you're watching this kid, Bryce Young.
This kid. Can't even call him an adult. It's a grown man. It's sounding like he's a wisher kid. Like they just gave him a jersey to him and say, hey, wisher kid.
Wish a kid. It's a wish a kid. A
Or
make
make
a
a
wish.
wish. It's a great wish. You got a mortgage and everything, man.
Make a wish. He legit does look like a make a wish. He does look like a make a wish kid.
Oh,
Like,
man.
I'm not going down that route. But like, yeah, if you're going to practice every single day and you're seeing your quarterback struggle, you're not going to have hope. You're not going to run routes the same
Yeah.
way. You're
Yeah.
not going to play as hard.
Mhm.
And you and the team are probably having side conversations like, man, this is our future, man.
Mhm.
Like what you doing next year?
Yeah.
You know, like how long is your contract?
Yep.
Like, man, let's just get these paychecks, go out,
Yeah.
do what we gonna do. They're not
Not get
thinking,
hurt.
they're not thinking like, okay, hey, let's come together collectively as a team because we have a shot of winning,
Right.
making it to the playoffs.
Right.
These boys are just kind of just like out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then you see the coach say, you know what, this is not working. They like are literally just looking absolutely horrible during games. This is not working. Let's get into Andy Dalton. I'm sure they've seen Andy Dalton, in practice. And Andy Dalton, I guarantee Andy Dalton looks amazing in practice.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh yes, now they're excited.
Mhm.
But those emotions will come down. Okay,
Mhm.
it's not gonna come down to Bryce Young levels. But yeah, we right now we up on the high of the roller coaster, but they will come down. They've also had some really good matchup thus far.
That's awesome.
So I don't think it's a situation like you're not expecting Andy Dalton and Deontay to produce the way that they're produced. But Deontay exactly what this is what I wanted. He's a viable, week to week starter for most of my teams, and can give me even spike week productions. Like the way that he is being targeted to me is amazing.
Mhm.
And we can always lean on that their defense, at least right now, is not that good.
They
Okay.
just lost Shaq Thompson too.
And they just lost Shaq
So
Thompson.
they
So,
lost not Burns.
Yeah.
That defensive tackle.
and Deontay and
That's
Chuba,
crazy.
these are guys that can be used. I'll let you, talk about the running backs because you can win on that one. But yeah, love the Deontay. The only thing that we just got to watch out for is just, don't trade him, please. Not this year. Wait till let him finish out the contract.
So
We-
Deontay.
Yeah, we need Deontay to stay in Carolina
Um.
and get area legged.
So we talked about. You go back and listen to our episodes during draft season. I
Yeah.
talked about Chuba specifically, and I talked
Yeah.
about Chuba and the fact that everybody was not wanting him because we were so high on Brooks.
Yeah.
We were more worried about the fact that when Brooks comes back,
Yeah.
Chuba's value is going to go down. And I was just saying, what if Brooks doesn't come back immediately, or what if it takes him a while to ramp up? There's value there in Chuba,
Yeah.
right? for a certain amount of time. Might
Yeah.
not be the full season. It might be the full season, but it
Yeah.
might not.
Yeah.
But just ride it as long as you can ride it. He's
Yeah.
been fruitful, right? So
Amazing.
So
He's
just
amazing.
enjoy that.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna dive too much in that, but I do want to kind of beat the drum a little bit on Xavier Legette.
Yeah.
I think he's somebody that started off very slow, so because of that he might be on waiver wires, but I think he has the potential to really, really taking off now. Again, remember he's a first round pick, so he has that
Yeah.
pedigree.
And he's athletic.
He's athletic, big body.
Yeah.
You know, he's strong. You know, fast. The coaches love him.
Yeah.
You know, so don't ignore that. I think that's a potential option for you.
All right. We are still on the NFC South. Let me go back, pull it up. Did we finish every team?
We didn't talk about the Saints
We didn't talk about the Saints, and we didn't talk
or
about
the
the Bucks either.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the Saints. Surprising team to me. I didn't think that Derek Carr could look any worse than he did last year. They seem to have a resurgence. New OC, just breathing life into this team. We often talked about Alvin Kamara and the usage last year. He just seems, man, to have just a bounce, you know, like in his step right now. Like he just like turned
Yeah,
back the
it's-
clock a little bit.
It's the run scheme. I mean, they're not running him like he's some like 275-pound back, you know, running him like in between the guards straight up the gut. You know, they're doing outside zones. They're allowing him to be patient and then explode through the hole.
Yeah.
They're putting him in space. They're putting him, you know, in positions to succeed. He's the same player. He's literally the same player. I do worry that he may be getting too many touches.
Right.
You know, like I actually want someone else to emerge. I don't want him continuing to get touches.
Kendrick's coming back this week.
Yeah, so-
Practicing
And he
on
should not
Wednesday.
be on waivers. He should not be on waivers at
Mhm.
all. Like, I don't care how bad his offseason was. He should not be on waivers. He should not be on waivers. He should not be on waivers. Make sure this show drops after waivers. But yeah, Carr is, you know, being
Honestly, I don't know where I'm at with Kendrick Miller right now.
Yeah.
I can't shake how much the head coach
The
is
hate.
just talking so much trash
yeah,
about it. Like
they
that,
were.
that was crazy. to me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, and then I'm loving what I'm seeing from Olave. There's still something missing from this offense. And I think it's like the tight end position.
Yeah, the tight end.
Yeah, like in the receiving game specifically. I think if you can get like a threat in the tight end position, I think everything will open up. It's like too concentrated right now, you know.
Mhm.
I think, you know, at some point, like defenses are gonna try to take Olave out, you know, key in on Kamara, make sure, you know, Shaheed at least doesn't beat them at least just over the top. And then, but you need that other guy to be able to go to.
He's been running some regular routes though, not just
He
like
has,
deep
yeah,
routes.
he's been a good receiver.
He's been showing a little bit.
But I think
more
teams will be
array
okay
of
with
his options.
Yeah, I think teams will be okay with him like taking a, you know, I just think they don't want him getting over the top. But like I feel like you really do need someone else though.
Yeah.
That, like you can beat. I think if they allow that to like kind of
But for fantasy, it's good, right?
It is.
Concentrated target tree.
for now.
Yeah, for now, yeah.
I mean, as quiet as it's kept, Shaheed has outproduced Olave. I don't know. I don't think that that's going to be the case season long, but
But not really, because I guarantee most people did not start him week 1.
no, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And then you were like, oh, am I gonna start in week 2? Nah, was it a blip in the plans? I was like, oh, maybe more people started in week 2, who knows? And then you finally put him in your lineup week 3 and you got 0.
you got 0.
But week 4, he had a good week, right?
Did you start in week 4?
16.7.
I think about. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's
I have to
obviously
sit
it's
each
team
in for
team.
somebody, right?
Yeah. It's team for team.
Oh, by the way, I sat Gary Wilson last week too.
There
Oh,
you
that's
go.
hard.
I was scared of
That's all right. True.
Sertan.
Sertan, yeah.
He's a boogeyman to me this year.
yeah.
He's a boogeyman to me.
No, he's playing well this season.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Bucks again. Godwin, Mike Evans, Mr. Consistent. I think, you know, but you have to, you know, start them at this point.
Yeah, both.
I mean,
Definitely every week starters.
Yeah, every week,
Yeah.
roster locks. Let's talk about that backfield a bit because it looks like
The bat signal showing, ain't it?
yeah. I didn't want to
We
believe
starting to
it.
look at the size.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's coming, bro.
I didn't want to believe
It's
it.
coming.
I don't have 0 shares of it. You know, I was very high on Rashad last year.
Mhm.
I don't have 0 shares of Rashad, but I got 1 share of Rashad, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you seeing why. But it wasn't even really because of, you know, Bucky Urban. I really didn't get on the Bucky Urban until late because of a lot of everybody, you know, everybody else was kind of talking him up. And I was like, okay, I can kind of see it. If I'm not going to be on Rashad, I got to be on something. So
Mhm.
luckily, like I was able to like, you know, make that
Pause,
actionable.
by the way.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah, I can't let
that
that.
I don't even
crazy.
know what I said. Pause. Yeah, whatever.
That was
I don't
crazy.
even say. But no,
All right,
did it?
guys.
No, did it? Yeah.
Rapid fire to go through a couple teams.
Yeah.
I hate to do this to the Baltimore Ravens because they have so many weapons.
Okay, real quick. We dropping Mark Andrews?
No.
You drop Mark Andrews?
Dropping him
Yeah.
in redraft? Yes. Tight end
FFPC. Screw all that. FFPC.
No.
Okay, if he's dropped, you picking him up?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah.
wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be dropped this week. Like I think you're gonna look late Wednesday night or wake up early Thursday. Just look and you'll see there's some drops.
That's like Christmas more than me. I love going there. I don't even
Yeah.
like look at who I got. I look at like
I was just
who was
saying,
dropping.
like,
I'm oh,
I'm kind of excited. Like I'm trying to see how many.
I picked up a Chubb in one league.
I did too.
Yeah.
How much you pay?
300.
I paid like 323.
Yeah.
I feel like that might have
Yeah.
been too high.
Man, they opened the practice window. And
Yeah.
to backtrack, they did not
Mhm.
open the practice window yet on Jonathan Brooks, which is surprising, but
Yeah.
All right. Cincinnati Bengals. Let's talk about that backfield as well. Is Chase Brown looking to take that job?
I gotta
from
see it
off?
one more week.
Yeah.
They're playing the
Yeah.
Baltimore Ravens this week. So if
Yeah, that's
they,
a tough matchup.
if he does it this week, I'm
Mhm.
ready to put him in there. But
so upset.
but Zach Moss is still getting out of burn though.
Yeah.
A
He's
lot
still
of
getting
burn.
production.
Yeah,
Too, so-
and, like I think I saw somebody put a tweet out recently where you can actually start both of them confidently as running backs.
Yeah.
Are you starting T. Higgins though?
week to week,
Yeah.
matchup dependent.
I'm not going out of my way to sit him yet,
Yeah.
Hmm.
but I'm not trying to force him in my lineups.
All right. Cleveland Browns. Jerome Ford, who I kind of see as Zach Moss for some reason. I have a lot of Zach Moss, Jerome Ford teams for some reason. I don't know why, but let's talk about Jerome Ford. He's going on a run, looks pretty decent in an offense that hasn't looked all that great.
Has he? Has he really done much?
He's been
Yeah.
solid. I think
He's
he had
been
one
solid.
week game. One game where they gave Foreman pretty much all the carries.
Yeah,
But
he's
the other
been
3 weeks,
solid.
Ford has had solid production.
What's been
Like
his,
double digits.
he's doing the same thing he did last year.
I mean,
Double
18 points week one. Yeah,
Okay, he got that
7.4.
118.
But 10.
But that's what he
15
does.
points.
He like lives around like 8 to 12, 8 to 11.
I mean, that's not bad for
That's
where you were
it's
taking. It's
annoying.
not like you're
It's
taking them
annoying.
high.
I know.
Right.
Oh, here's the thing I want to say about the Browns. Because there's a chance Amari Cooper could be traded.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think Jerry Jeudy could become the main guy there because he's actually
too.
being used a lot now.
Yep.
Like he's actually been getting maybe about 7 targets per game.
Mhm.
Watson's still trying to figure out. Watson didn't have a horrible game last week, so he might, improve even more as the season goes
That's
on.
big. That's big.
But if
for-
Amari
big for
Cooper is
Derek.
traded, Jerry Judy's value is going to skyrocket. And I don't know if there's anybody else that I don't.
I would go ahead. Go look at Elijah Moore's target.
You think Elijah Moore?
I think especially in the short intermediate, because one issue, and I hate
What
to
about Cedric Tillman?
they just haven't shown a lot of confidence in him.
Yeah.
He hasn't got many burn.
She ain't shot a lot of confidence in Elijah Moore.
But actually, Elijah Moore to me, like every time I turn on the tape, like especially because they're running a lot more 3 wide receiver set, he is out there.
Really?
He's in, and it seems like Watson has looked for him a lot, especially because of the routes that he runs. But the one thing that I would say is like, again, I hate to keep sounding like I'm making excuses, and it's not even just specifically for Watson, but like this team just cannot get right. And the biggest issue to me thus far this year has been their offensive line.
Yeah.
Offensive line has been terrible.
Well, they've been injured.
I mean,
too.
they've been
decimated.
injured, but like so, and I don't know when they're getting healthy. So many guys are just kind of like rotating in and out, and even when they come back, they just don't like necessarily look right. So to me, that is the biggest issue. But how that plays, with Elijah Moore and even like with Jerry Jeudy is like, Watson has to get the ball out quick. Like it's really hard for them to like have these like deep developing routes, and there's no run game for defenses to really
I
like.
do know
threat.
Njoku's coming back soon too, so that might help out.
Yeah,
That's
true.
Sure, he might actually benefit from
true.
all this. Actually,
Yeah, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields seems to have won over that quarterback job. Do you guys feel confident in starting him week to week with the ability, with his rushing ability and his ability to get rushing touchdowns?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, and the more and more he kind of gets comfortable in the offense, the more and more he gets comfortable. Like, I think if all season you're hearing people tell you that you're not really a real quarterback and all you do is run, what are you going to try to do? You're going to try to improve your passing game, and you're going to try to like stick in the quarterback. But his legs are part of his game. His legs can be used as an asset. and his legs can help him out in the passing game too as well. So I think once he kind of finds a fine balance of yes, trying to let the play develop, and then but also like, hey, I have legs, I can be a threat in the run game. Because to me, he's their best running back. He is their best running back until you see a healthy Jalen Warren. Najee, like I'm done with the whole Najee experience.
Yeah.
Like, stop telling like Najee is Najee.
Yeah, but they didn't take his 50-year option, so they know it too.
Yeah.
He's also allowing Pickens and Freiermuth to be productive, so I like that. What are y'all thoughts on Cordero Patterson?
To be honest, I think he's a better option than Najee.
So you'd roster him?
I'd roster him, but I'd want him. I mean, like I'd want Najee to go down before
you play him.
Yeah,
I feel like if I'm a coach, like who would you want to use like at the red zone goal line?
Cordero.
I really would like Cordell because I feel like you can like do multiple things with him, and he has a threat of coming out of the backfield.
He's banged up too now, though. So
Cordell,
yeah,
he is old. Like shit, he our age.
All right, so NFC North. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears. I don't think that offense looks exactly.
What's going on with DJ Moore, man?
I don't know, and that's what we talk about. I mean,
he looks miserable.
Yeah, does he want out, or he wants to change?
He'll never say it. He'll never like speak on it.
That'd be crazy to want out in the year you just signed a crazy extension.
Yeah, and I mean they seem to have weapons there. Like I don't know why he would want out. Like Caleb doesn't look that bad to me.
No, he don't look good to me.
No, Caleb looks terrible.
He looks really bad to me.
I think that's an offensive line that's really
they've been bad.
He's running for his life, man.
Yeah. But even though maybe it's the OC. This is the same OC that was with the Seahawks last year.
They got fired.
That did not utilize JSN at all.
Yeah.
So
and had DK kind of struggling, like that offense didn't look good.
Yeah. Can we drop DeAndre Swift? like are we still holding?
No, you got to hold him now.
Because do you think
did you see what he did last week?
He went off.
Yeah, but that was just last week.
But you can't drop him after he did that.
You can't do it now. Like now it's like now he got you hostage.
Yeah. See, I'm negative 1, 2, negative 3, I'm negative 4 with DeAndre Swift. Yeah. Started him 3 weeks in a row, thinking, okay, yeah, this is gonna be the week. This is gonna be the week. And then I set him week 4.
See, now he put you in that Isaiah Likely dilemma I was talking about.
Yes.
Say, how many more weeks give you dubs where you're like, okay, finally I can drop him?
I don't know what to do with him.
Because now you just see him go crazy.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you drop him, I'm picking him up.
Yeah. I definitely don't want you to have him.
Hey, we're just going to see what happens. So I was like, I hate those situations. Yeah.
Detroit Lions running backs. Listen, both of them are getting work. Both of them scored a touchdown this past week.
Man.
Both of them seems to be giving you the value that you want
and more. Yeah.
Can they continue that though?
Yeah, because I mean that offensive line is legit.
Yeah, I think they can. That offense just as a whole is buzzing.
Yeah.
Do you think Laporta supports where he was drafted?
Hell no. He's being drafted at the back end of the first in the
none of those tight ends are. What tight end is worth their second, third round value right now?
Kelsey.
Oh, no.
Potentially.
Potentially.
Maybe. We've seen that in one game.
Because if every tight end continues to suck and Kelsey is giving you like 6 to 7 catches,
so you're talking relative to the other options, he's worth the second, third round pick.
Yeah.
Okay, if I ask this question before week 4, who was worthy of the second?
Before Rice injury?
Yeah.
None of them.
That's crazy because there's a lot of people touting. Because remember, there was an episode I came up here and I told y'all this is the first season I've seen so many tight ends being drafted in the second. Like I've never seen that many.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of people touting that you should be drafting your tight end that early.
Oh, actually, Trey McBride.
Okay,
I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
And Kincaid, we'll see. Kincaid is, he's going to second, third.
I like Laporta. Laporta hasn't had a great season. I haven't been paying too close attention.
But just not to support where
he's been taken as the number 1 tight end overall.
Yeah,
I'm just saying he hasn't been producing week in and week out.
0.
No. That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
that's real unfortunate. Because Mark Andrews, oh my God, Mark Andrews and Pitts.
Oh man,
like we were bad mouthing Mark Andrews in the group chat, and I was thinking, why y'all not talking about Pitts? Because
I only had Pitts on one.
Oh my gosh,
but Pitts isn't goose egging you like 2 weeks in a row.
Just goose egg,
but not 2 weeks in a row. That's 2 weeks in a row.
Man,
and this week was a good matchup.
You cannot be starting Pitts, but I can get drafting Pitts though. Number 1, Pitts wasn't going in the first, second round. I can get the thought of drafting Pitts because even if
Andrews
you don't,
it wasn't going in the first. He was going in the
Yeah.
third, and Pitts was
But-
going like in fourth.
but I can get like the only Pitts I have is on a joint team, but I can get the thought process of it. Like I can get the thought process of okay, new offense, at least explosive player or athletic player. So maybe they just like do a good job of scheming them open and they prioritize getting them the ball, move a little bit quicker, that this offense may actually do something. I 100% get that. 100% get that. It's just unfortunate. Like you've seen it year after year after year. Like, is he just like bad? Like, what do you like from a dynasty standpoint? Like, what do you do? Like,
he doesn't look that good. Like just eye test wise, like
he doesn't get open.
He doesn't look
like
special to me, and he doesn't look like a receiver. He looks like a tight end.
Yeah,
in a receiver's body.
They can't run routes. Most tight ends, though, most like the good tight ends or the tight ends that are good, like they're smart, savvy, and they just figure out how to get open.
Yeah.
Like they just do like Travis Kelce never been like
he's not even fluid. Like
yeah.
It's weird, man.
Yeah, I feel like I can go out there and guard him.
But you can't cut Pitts.
No,
you can't.
You can't. Why not?
No, you can't.
I don't think you can put.
That's a sabotage cut.
No,
That's
so?
Who used to say that? It was
I think it was Zacharisa.
No, Sigmund Bloom. Or maybe Sigmund Bloom. Sigmund Bloom used to talk about. I think he
one of those great fantasy. Guys.
Yeah,
it probably was. Sigmund Bloom,
I think he used to talk about sabotage cuts.
Yeah,
because if you drop him, somebody's gonna spend a lot of
Trojan
fab.
horse.
Yeah, so you already like getting spend
Yeah.
fab, and then if you're getting them to start him in the lineups and he's giving duds. But then if he does go off, you're gonna feel bad.
I'll be hot. I'm be hot. I ain't gonna lie. I can't allow that to happen. Not on my watch.
All right, let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. I think we got a definitive answer on who's the receiver to own in that receiver room.
Who?
Jaden Reed is clearly the receiver that we should.
Yeah, I missed the boat on that one.
Yeah, I think we all missed the boat because we saw Dobbs there. But they just had a loaded receiver room. Wicks.
Side note, sorry.
Mhm.
You know how like in the offseason, people, when it's kind of a cloudy, murky situation, they'll say, well, this guy's being drafted later, so let's, so he's the value.
Yeah.
Take the cheaper guy. I feel like that's oftentimes that's a trap play and that's an incorrect move. Like sometimes like the cheaper guy is not the value. Sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't. Like, I feel like in those situations, like, and we were saying this, and I didn't do it again. I'm kicking myself for it. Like all these guys are at some point going to have value. Like even in the Texans room, we just got done talking about how we would re-rank the Texans. But I guarantee you, like quarter 3 or quarter 2, even like Dale's going to be that guy that's so like at some point, all these guys are going to be productive on your team, and you just want to have them available. You want them to be on your roster. So especially teams like the Green Bay, like shame on me for like not having a significant amount of shares of Reed.
It's just a cop-out mantra. Right?
Yeah,
it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
So let me just take the one that I can get the latest.
Yeah.
It's really just not flag playing on any specific player. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But and honestly, looking back, how do we know? Like we heard so much about Dobbs this summer, right? We heard, and honestly, we can say we know, but we still haven't seen.
No, we know now.
We've seen one Packers, a truly fully healthy Packers game.
No, but they're moving Jaden Reed around that offense.
No, they're moving him, but again, it's all going to depend.
But he's not playing. It's not like he's running like 90% of routes. So
but it's all going to depend on how many targets he gets.
Force feeding him the ball.
No, I wouldn't go that route.
I would. Man, he's running reverses.
But we've only seen it. We only have one healthy Jordan Love game. Yeah. So you're using Malik Willis games and remember Malik Willis. Remember that first game they didn't throw at all. It's like they ran Josh Jacobs a million times. So
I think there's more reason to say that Jaden Reed is clearly the number one. There is that hey, like when we have our backup quarterback, this is the guy.
They shifted that whole offense for
Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed runs. Jaden Reed has a certain like what he is to that offense is very different than what Wicks is to that offense, which is very different than what Dubs is to that offense. Wicks and Watson to me are kind of like similar.
Those are similar.
Yeah. But Reed runs, his route tree. He has his specific role, and Dubs has his specific role. So if one goes out, it's not like they put Reed in the Dubs role. They'll probably pull Bo Melton and put him into Dobbs. So
I got you on that. But like what I'm saying
is game to game.
No. But not for Jaden Reed. Like they are forcing the ball in his hands.
But my thing is the sample side is limited.
He got 8.
But week 2, he got 2 targets. Last week is overinflated though because they were getting blown out. They're never going to throw that.
All right.
I mean, them throwing that many passes. We like 40 plus passes. That's an aberration. They were like getting blown out, and all they were doing passing. The team was in prevent defense. That's not a normal thing, especially for the Green Bay.
But he still got
Packers.
6 more targets the week before that, and 6 targets week 1.
But that's without.
And then
that's
also-
without Jordan Love though.
All right, but also look like he's also getting rushing yards, which is when a team is trying to get the ball in your hands, they are getting you the ball like out of the backfield, sweeps. He's getting.
I just need to have a bigger sample size. We've only seen one truly healthy.
I guess it's a
Packers
Packers
game.
I'm not saying that like Jordan Reed is not somebody that you want to start or like you want to, that can like, be explosive in your lineup. What I'm saying is like, I don't think that like from an NFL standpoint, he's necessarily their wide receiver 1 or that they even view it that way. Nor do I think that you should be going in every week thinking that he's going to out target every single wide receiver.
Now, that being said, though, I will say I would start him every week.
Yeah.
Like he's an automatic auto start for me.
Yeah.
And he's receiver 4 in the season so far. So
I mean, he's had some explosive games.
I mean, he had that great week 1.
Yeah.
I mean, he had that it sways everything.
All right. But y'all not believers of Jaden Reed.
I would tell you to start him every week.
Yeah,
I'm just not.
But he's not wide receiver. Yeah. I'm not thinking if I'm re-ranking today, he's not going to be like in my top 10 wide receivers.
Right. Like if you were redraft right now, Chris, know what you know right now, and know we still have the rest of the season to go. Are you drafting him in the first 2 rounds?
Back in a second. Early third.
You the same one that was the same one drafting Isaiah Likely in the 2nd round too.
No, I don't have any Likely. Okay. But I made the mistake in drafting Andrews in the 3rd round.
That was my fault. My bad.
But no, let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings. Jordan Addison came back last week, had a monster game. I mean, Justin Jefferson is going to be Justin Jefferson. I'm just more surprised at Aaron Jones and his production. I didn't really see.
Why are you surprised?
Because
when has Aaron Jones never not produced?
But that's the point. At some point, he has to come. I mean, at some point,
when is he not produced?
To be dust. But I mean,
the last time you saw him in the playoffs, he was shredding the 49ers.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting on the injury.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing that always happens. He gets hurt. So that's the game I'm playing. Like I didn't think he was dust or anything. He didn't look bad. Like Abby said, the last time we saw him against the Cowboys, the second to last game we saw him in the playoffs, Packers, he pretty much beat the Cowboys himself.
Yeah.
So like I know he has talent. Just for me, the whole Vikings team as a whole has been impressive.
Yeah.
Like they've all overachieved or way past my expectations.
Yeah. Everybody
started at the quarterback, all the receivers, because think about it, Addison missed 2 games, and what they do, all right, Jalen Naylor, get out there and just score touchdowns every game, right? So the tight ends obviously ain't doing nothing, but Hawkinson's on the way back soon. So the defense is going crazy. So that team as a whole, that's a Super Bowl like competitor right there.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the other NFC teams. The San Francisco's been looking a little weaker.
Yeah.
The Eagles have been looking weaker. Like, who was their competition?
Yeah.
No, I got you.
So
let's go to the AFC East. Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. Cooks doesn't look like the Cooks of last season. Might be a little disappointed, although he's been giving you some production. It's just up and down. What do you guys think about Shakir being receiver 1 there and clearly Josh Allen's favorite target? Is that going to continue? What do you guys think about that relationship moving forward?
Well, first off, I mean, I think James Cooks looks better than they did last year.
You think so?
Yeah, I think I think it's the way they use him. It's kind of a little bit of a continuation from last year. I think certain matchups may be a little bit more difficult. Like obviously they were getting blown out by Baltimore, and but for the most part, Cooks has looked explosive. I think the greatest thing about Cooks, if you own him this year, is that like his usage around the goal line and the lack of usage,
just not Josh Allen.
Yeah, like Josh Allen used to take everything. Now he's at least giving some things.
Josh Allen's had 2 games in a row now where he's kind of been underperforming, right? I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't like that at all.
I kind of shied away from him more so, and I think I was maybe right, but then also wrong. I felt like I was just not convinced about this passing game. I felt like he was going to regress, and I just thought the offense was not going to look that good. You're going to have your bad games here or there, but for overall, I feel like he's actually done a really good job. He spread the ball around a little bit, but there's still been enough volume to make a lot of these guys viable. So I've actually been like, pretty surprised by how the offense is run. Shakir, I think a lot of us or a lot of the community felt like he could be a surprise player. So you're seeing that he's not doing anything like amazing, but he's
Right.
definitely like more than serviceable and like definitely used in in a number of lineups to date. I'm interested to see where the rookie goes from here on, because remember, rookies start off as rookies and some of them like take a little bit of time to
But he's
get
starting
going.
slow though. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
but
starting out
you,
slow.
yeah, but if you look at like some of his catches and like the trust that Josh Allen, like he threw like a back shoulder fade, like he's thrown up some like 50-50 balls, and like, and credit to Keon Coleman, like he's come down with them. Like, so to me, he's looked good. I think there was an issue too. There was some issue where he got benched to start like the first quarter. So
Then he came in the game and immediately scored a touchdown.
yeah, then he came in again. So like they drafted him where they drafted him too. So he's just one of the guys that I would just kind of be look out for as far as like he is what he is now, but like later in the year we may be talking about him as the number one and not Shakir.
Yeah, I actually agree 100% everything you just said.
Yeah.
So Shakir, he is the number one now, but I haven't seen his full array of skill set for a wide receiver one. Like I haven't seen the deep ball.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the deep post. I've seen more like underneath scramble type catches, which has worked. Josh Allen is the perfect type of quarterback to be a scramble type receiver.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen a wide, like he doesn't fit the wide receiver run prototype, which means it's a vulnerable position to hold for him. And Keon Coleman, if he can figure out, like Abby's saying, if it takes the full year, sometimes guys go crazy week 14. And it is what it is. And we're talking fantasy right now. He's probably really, really cheap to acquire, whether it's through the waiver wire or trade for. Dynasty, you're probably not going to get a hold of him, but
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. Tua is out for the foreseeable future. Obviously, that offense looks different without Tua being their quarterback. I sat Waddle this past week just because I just didn't believe his production without Tua being his quarterback. I mean, is that something that you guys are going to monitor looking forward, or is Waddle startable without Tua being there?
No, I've set him where I could pretty much in almost every single lineup.
Me too, and that's so unfortunate.
Yeah, and I had a ton of Waddle, so I have not felt comfortable at all.
I might have to have a discussion about Tyreek Hill soon too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Huntley looked better as the game went on this past week, so maybe there's something he can do there. But if he looks the same, man, that whole offense just looks broken. And it's so weird because you would think McDaniel could figure it out for being such an offensive genius.
Yeah,
but it seems like he needed Tua more than Tua needed him.
Yeah,
and it is a tougher offense too.
Yeah, I mean, we've even seen A-Chain sort of, put up a dead game.
Yeah, I mean, that whole offense just looks so bad.
Speaking of bad offenses, let's talk about the New England Patriots. I mean,
say it like that. That transition.
Because,
speaking of bad offenses,
I mean, Ramondre obviously put up a dud. I mean, are you guys outside of Ramondre? Are you rostering any other Patriots players?
Hunter Henry, maybe.
Hunter Henry,
tight end premium. You're in the pinch.
Oh yeah. No, I'm still definitely looking at Polk. He's definitely
you rostering him though.
Yeah, I've been rostering him. I actually been picking him up, like for just dollar bids here and there. People dropping them.
I don't think you're gonna get much out of that.
Well,
I don't think that offense is gonna be.
So the reason I say that is because I don't think Brissett is gonna be the quarterback much longer. And the one thing that Drake May offers is like a little bit of just like escapability, a little bit of more movement.
Yeah.
And again, I think that always kind of opens up the offense a little bit more. His arm is also, to me, a little bit stronger. I don't necessarily know that he's a good quarterback. I don't know what that's going to look like. And yeah, the offensive line sucks, but I still feel like when that rookie comes in, and they turn to evaluate him, he's going to favor somebody, or he's going to
I'll say this
one way. So
the only thing I would tell you to be concerned with is every time I do see the Patriots, and it's not a lot, I see them using a lot of different receivers. Like I've seen Butte get catches, I've seen Thornton get targets, I've seen Demario Douglas get targets. Pope. They haven't used that other rookie. I forgot what his name is, Jalen maybe. But it's like they're just using a bunch of different options. So maybe now, with that being said, maybe Pope just needs to come in his own and then really take a hold of that wide receiver one. And again, if May has it in him, cool. But I just I'm not touching him.
Yeah. What about the Jets? Obviously, you bench Garrett Wilson. I can't bench Garrett Wilson for some reason. I just can't in that offense.
You can't quit him.
I just can't. Brees Hall is still there. We saw, slight reduction with Braylon Allen. I know we've already kind of talked about that for a little bit. I mean, can we give up on the Aaron Rodgers revenge season? MVP season.
How did they look this past week at the Broncos? Remember I told you I think the Broncos defense is legit.
Yeah,
the week
they
prior to that though was
Still wasn't
Sunday
all
Night
that.
Football, Monday Night Football.
Still wasn't all that great.
I mean, it was pretty good. He threw like what 2-3 touchdowns.
Yeah, but if we're talking about like,
It wasn't like a ceiling game, but it was
Yeah.
still solid. I guess.
I guess he just moves so slow. The
Yeah.
offense is kind of like
The offense moves
it's not
slow
a
for real.
yeah, but he purposely he just waits. He bleeds the clock. Purpose,
Mhm.
and he's always done that. So they don't run like as many plays. They don't. It's not. The offense isn't explosive. It's just I don't know. It's just like I don't know if they just want to rely on their defense or what. But the offense just hasn't looked right. And again, he's just coming back from injury.
It's Nathaniel Hackett, man. That offense is not
Yeah.
creative.
yeah,
It's not
Like
at
Garrett
all.
Wilson even complained recently. He's like, man, he look at other offenses and they're like doing creative things with
And
their
we don't.
receivers. Yeah, we're not
yeah,
doing
we
it.
do.
And he's right. Like if you
Yeah.
watch it, it's like everybody just on their side, and
It's a
just
lot of
run
trust
your route.
throws. It's a lot of
Yeah.
trust throws. A lot of back shoulders.
which is why Alan
Like,
Lazard is
yeah.
probably going hard because
Yeah.
he trusts him.
Yeah,
So,
he knows where to
that's
be.
his guy,
He knows
yeah.
what to expect. And Gary Wilson's like, "What do you want me to do? Like,
Yeah.
I'm open.
Yeah.
Don't throw me a back shoulder. Throw me lead me on a slant.
yeah,
But
we'll see how long that lasts.
yeah,
All right, last division of the night, the NFC East. I start with the Dallas Cowboys. I guess we were all wrong on the Dallas Cowboys when we were talking about that backfield and who's going to be RB1. They don't have an RB1 at this point.
I don't know.
Dottle doesn't look great.
I think
Zeke doesn't look
Dowdle's
great.
their RB1. I just don't think he's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he's taking over that role now. Whether you can start him or not, or
I
get
think he'll
lucky.
probably start him.
Yeah.
If he's gonna get the amount of usage, like he's not just getting like 5 carries, he's probably
Yeah.
getting like 10 to
Yeah,
15 carries now.
I mean,
And he's also getting passing work.
that's true.
obviously CD automatic start. Ferguson when he's healthy.
That's been the bright spot. Thank
Mhm.
God,
Mm-hmm.
for Ferguson. Man, he has just carried me.
Yeah.
That's been the one tight end bright spot
Yeah.
of this year, in my opinion. And he got in, and he got injured.
And he
But
got
you weren't
injured?
taking him early though.
Nope.
He was
No.
like a 5th, 6th, 7th
Yeah.
round pick.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's what I'm saying. All these tight ends are drafted early. I mean, we're gonna
Yeah.
learn a lesson this year,
And
and
that's
then we're
one
gonna
of those-
overcorrect next year.
But that's
Yeah.
also one of those situations where you knew that you couldn't start him because he was injured. So once he came back, you know,
Yep.
it was more predictable,
Yep.
if you will. All right, New York Giants, outside of neighbors, and Wandale. Wandale seems to have,
Man,
he's getting targets.
PPR monster.
Yeah, PPR monster. I think you can start those two.
PPR scam is what I've been hearing lately.
I can't do Singletary. Those are the only two Giants I can
What?
start.
Singletary's been producing, but I will say because of
can't
that,
do
I would be trying to roster Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would try to have him on your rosters for when it does that. Because Singletary actually got hurt this last game.
Mm-hmm.
He came out for a little bit, but I think he eventually
Yeah.
came back. But if something does happen to Singletary, I think Tracy is going to walk
Yeah.
into a great role.
And
Yeah.
and they use Tracy in the passing game, as a wide receiver, lined out.
He's a former
He-
receiver, right?
Yeah, he's a former running back / receiver. Yes,
Mm.
and he ran a real wide. He actually caught the ball. I don't know if he scored a touchdown on it, but it was like a 30-40 yard play. Looked great catching it. They called it back. There was some penalty, maybe a holding or something, but they're using him. And Daniel Jones is throwing him actual balls, not just out of the flats.
All right. Philadelphia Eagles banged up both Devontae Smith and AJ Brown being out this past week, and that offense just looked broken.
Yeah.
Although they still have Saquon, who's still productive. I mean, what do you guys
Don't
think?
disrespect the number one tight end in fantasy right now.
That's true. Dallas Goedert, number one
Yeah.
tight end in fantasy. You are right about that. But I think he had a monster game, and so that's what kind of made him.
Yeah.
Like
It
tight
don't
end
take
one.
much this year for tight ends.
That's
Yeah.
true. What do you guys think about the Eagles' offense?
Yeah, this is a bummer. Bummer, because I was definitely high on this team. I think I had Jalen Hurts as my number one.
Mm-hmm.
Love, the ADPs for both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. There's still time for them to pay off ADP. I think, when they were all healthy, still feel like They were productive. The offense was very concentrated, but definitely Jalen Hurts is not either. Jalen Hurts is like regressed or is not playing well or is not gotten the grasp of the offense, or Kellen Moore is not meshing well or gelling well or calling a good game plan.
Or overrated. But go ahead.
Yeah, I know you think he's overrated.
Mhm.
Or he's maybe he's not the one calling plays, or maybe somebody else is dictating other plays. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not good.
Fair enough.
I mean, for me, I think they're fine. I think they look
Mhm.
good. I think it's just been health.
Yeah.
I think what is really showing us is how fragile they are as a team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They lose their even one receiver, it just makes
didn't
their
look good,
defense
yeah.
depressed. I mean, their offense depressed as a
Yeah.
whole.
Mhm.
So they need AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Goddard and Barkley all playing.
And they
Yeah.
also lost their center too, so that's really important to.
Well, I mean, that's already baked in going into the season, right? He
No, but
retired.
I'm talking about Lane Johnson. Like they're
Oh, he's not a center. He's talking about the
Yeah,
tackle.
Their tackle. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Lane. No, and they lost their center because remember they had some snap issues as well. So they
No,
lost.
it's
Lane
just
Johnson.
because it's just Jurgens. He replaced Kelsey.
No, I think their starting center got injured as well
Oh, I didn't know
in the
that.
last
That's true. I
game,
didn't
but they've
know that.
had some injuries on the offensive line,
Okay.
which I think makes a big deal for.
Well, regardless, they're not a team that has solid depth. Like
Mhm.
they're not a team that can afford to have next man up
Yeah.
be somebody that can keep them afloat. So once they get all their guys back in, and for what we are aware of, AJ Brown almost came back the last game.
Yeah.
Devontae had a concussion, so yeah, he missed one game, but we expect him to probably come back after the bye. So
Mhm.
I would expect the next time we see them, everybody is
Healthy.
up and ready, and
Mhm.
then
Ready to go.
we can kind of go again. And that first game, they actually looked good, in my opinion,
Yeah.
against the Packers.
Mhm.
Barkley scored twice. AJ Brown scored once when he was
Yeah.
talking trash with
Yeah.
Jair Alexander.
Yeah.
And Devontae's gonna get his, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't panic on the Eagles.
Yeah,
yet.
definitely not panic, because you're right. Like, their individual players are elite. That it almost doesn't matter who is calling plays or who the quarterback is, or
Mhm.
they're elite. And the fact that you at least have a Jalen Hurts, even if he's not playing at his best self, and you at least have someone who calls plays at a fast pace. Like, so yeah, I'm in agreement with that.
All right, last team of the night, the Washington Commanders.
The best team of the night.
Hey, listen, your QB1, Jayden Daniels, is having an amazing rookie season. Just to
Mhm.
put up the stats for you guys, I mean, 30 points out the gate.
Yeah.
All right, 15.7, another 30-point monster, 27 points last week. I mean, the
He
thing
don't even
is,
really feel like he hit his ceiling yet either.
No.
you don't think so?
It
No,
don't
not at
seem
all,
like-
not at all.
watching it.
Because Cliff is calling plays, and I think I think the first couple of weeks we were all upset because he's not calling anything deep. But like, it's a rookie quarterback. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe he's not calling things deep because he doesn't want it to look like Caleb Williams, or he doesn't want it to look like these other rookies that are like out here struggling and behind these porous offensive lines. So, this is exactly how I drew it up. This is exactly what I was talking about. I knew he was going to be the number one overall quarterback. Season. Man, I got.
So you think you can keep it up?
I don't know if he's gonna keep it up.
Yeah.
Look, even him being the number one quarterback 4 weeks in the season, and even with Vegas beating the Cleveland Browns, I don't know that I'm starting him across the board against the Cleveland Browns. I just don't know that.
Yeah.
So,
all right, guys, that's our episode this week. Any waiver picks that you want to toss in there? Anybody that we should be thinking about?
Nobody that we haven't mentioned already. Audric Estime, I'll run that back again.
Yeah.
I feel like he's one of the few players that can maybe give you good return if you're patient with him. But no, I don't really have any sneaky options. I mean, this might go out before waivers lock, so I ain't just trying to give you my whole rundown.
Fair enough. That's our
Yeah.
episode this week, guys. Please like, rate, subscribe. We're out.